This is Suspenders Unbuttoned, a podcast where friends talk with friends about TV, movies, and books.
I thought I had to take it away. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast. I am Sarah.
And I'm Julie, and we're excited to welcome Nadia Hatta with us today.
Yay. Welcome, Nadia.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I love it. I'm excited. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Hello.
We're excited to meet you. We've talked to Chris before, and we love him too. Yeah. So I imagine you had a lot of fun on set. Winning team.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we did. And hello, Sheila. Hello, dear Hallmark.
Hi, Dara.
Hi, Dara. Dara is dear Hallmark.
Oh,
yeah, love.
Oh, I thought it's a deer. Oh, it is
dear Hallmark. Yep.
That's the podcast name.
Yep, podcast.
I love it.
Yes. Well, welcome. And you were just in the movie that aired on Saturday, the winning team.
Yes. Lucky me. I got to play a soccer champ and coach.
Yes.
Yeah. Like super soccer player.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was exciting. I got to play a triple gold medalist, World Cup soccer champ, which honestly, ladies, it's like, what a gift, right? To represent women's athletic sports, not just on like a junior level, but on like the world class level.
Right.
Which I feel like there should be more movies about, don't you think so? Like not just in soccer, but in every sport. But anyway, that's another topic.
Yeah. No, I always say too, all the sports movies, they always kind of get you in the feels. Like even if you're not a sports like super fan, like there's just something so beautiful about watching people work really hard at their craft and like scoring a goal or something, right?
That's right. I think it pulls out all the animal instincts in ourselves and attitude. Like, sometimes we're sitting there, but we're like, oh my God, I want to move. I want to get up and I want to run. I want to win. I want to go. It just activates our ambition and our competition.
Speaking of attitude, you get to do that in the movie too. So that was kind of fun. I mean, it was fun to watch. Was that fun to play? Kind of.
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about, Sarah. I played a very sweet young lady.
Yes, she is sweet, but she's strong and focused. Yes. And I'm going to say I can relate to that a lot more than all this ushy-gushiness.
That's right. Thank you for saying that. Actually, this is within all of us. And Sarah, I love playing that kind of character because it was a little harsh sometimes. When I watched myself, I was like, whoa, she's so aggro. Was I that aggro? But actually, that's very realistic because there's a lot of alpha females out there that I feel deserve representation on film. We women who, want to succeed and we want to win, we also do fall in love, right?
Right.
And sometimes the attitude doesn't just come from randomness. It comes from grief or something that we're going through and being misunderstood, right? And I felt like that's totally accurate. If I'm going through a tough time and I can't share with other people what I'm going through personally, then I have a shell up, because I don't want you to see my vulnerability. So I'm just like, I'm tough. I'm made of titanium. Nothing breaks me. Mm-hmm. But then those are the people who are the softest little tofu hearts in the world.
Right.
Tofu hearts. I like that.
I think a lot of women can relate to that though. Like it's very much more, I'm surrounded by very strong women where I work and focused and driven, and we've worked hard to get what we're doing and we work hard every day. And I think a lot more women can relate to that sometimes than the I'm just lost.
Yeah, 100%. That's totally true. I totally agree with you, Julie. I loved it. I loved playing a strong woman. I played somebody with attitude, and I don't think that's bad necessarily. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe being like attacking the referee was a little too much, in general, because it's not professional. But in general, having sort of a strong character and standing up for what you believe in and even in the scene where she was like, this is my career, like it doesn't mean I don't love you. It just doesn't mean that I'm just going to leave everything behind.
Right.
Because of some, like, a man. Right. And I feel like that's very current.
Yes.
Right. And actually something that couples have to discuss all the time. Like, how are they balancing that? It's very common for both adults to be working, and you have to balance that. This is Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
Leave It to
Beaver. That's so old. Like, I mean, that's more than half a century old, those thoughts, right?
Oh yes, totally, Julie. And I just love that Hallmark, we made this movie and this was greenlit. I think that's so incredible. Like, I got to play, we broke so many grounds. Like, we broke a lot of things in one movie, right? I mean, first of all, I get to play a pro woman athlete, which is so awesome. And then I am obviously Asian. So my family was Asian, and we got to just play a story, which was incredible for me. And then on top of that, I played a very strong woman who's successful, a successful woman, who is on the top of her game and is more successful than probably her partners that she's going to have. Right. And how does that work? How can we have both? I love it. I think it's very current, this kind of story. And we live it every day. And to be honest, a lot of women are the breadwinners also nowadays in two couples and make more money.
For kids who are school age, it's like 67% of their households are income is led by the woman in the household. Yeah, for kids who are school age. So in younger families, the biggest breadwinner is usually a woman. So in the United States, I'm not sure where you're coming out of, but in the U.S.
Wow, that's really cool.
So for school age, so those are younger families.
I didn't know those numbers either, but
I hear them at work a lot, and my kids hear them too.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so
it's really high.
It's very high, and almost 60% of kids live in non-traditional households too, who are school age.
I love it. I love it.
So these like because even in this, you also have like a niece, right? Right, like part of this grief journey, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your question.
So I was talking about non-traditional households. Kids are in non-traditional households, and you have a niece in there. That's part of that. Like, you're coming to see them. It's the grief.
Yes, that's right. It's so beautiful because my niece Ava, played by Nikki Garcia, she's a very strong, independent woman as well, and she's raised by this one single father. But the father, he's a social worker. He also doesn't make as much money as his wife that has passed away. So that we already show that, right? It's a very non-traditional family. And actually, we joked a lot. Offset. I don't think they use it in the movie, but we joked a lot. We call Brandon, my brother in the movie. I would call him Princess. So it was like, it became kind of a joke that every time I sat down, I would be like, I was like all, really athletic and stuff. And he would be like wiping the table and being like that. So it's kind of became a running joke that we love to reverse this, like, stereotype of men and just be like totally fluid. And he's like all that. And I'd be like, okay, Princess, and he's like more in touch with his emotional side. And I'm like very, I'm going training, and I just love that we reverse.
And I think that came across on screen. Even though we didn't see that direct teasing, you could see their relationship, and it was very much like that.
Yeah. I'm so glad you saw that. Right. Because we definitely felt that, and because they'd make fun of me every time I sat down. They'd be like, "Oh my God, your legs," and I'm like, "That's just the way Emily sits."
You want to know what? I'm a sports girl. That is very much more. And there's not a lot of sitting around like pretty girls. I'm just going to say the pretty girls walk like this, and there's a way that it goes, and it's and it's also beautiful women. These are beautiful women. These athletes and their strength.
Yes.
But I kind of love that it showed this non-traditional family and who's important for these kids who are school age, right? Yes. This girl's in middle school. It's a hard time, right? and the people who are important to her aren't always just the person who's her parent, right?
Yes.
And so I loved how that was shown in the movie too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I was her mentor, and she had I don't know if everyone noticed, but she had a number 8 on her jersey to Emily's number 8.
That's so cute.
Because it was like a very subtle, like, I'm her idol. She always want to be like me, even though she kind of wants to be an actor.
Right.
So I thought that was a really nice touch. I don't know if anyone else noticed that.
Yeah,
I didn't. We'll notice the next time we watch.
That's super fun. So that's
great ratings.
on rewatch, go look for that Easter egg. Are there any other Easter eggs we can look for in the movie?
Yes. So okay. So really cool story. I really loved it. This was very emotional for me. When I saw this, I had tears in my eyes and I was really moved. But we were shooting that scene with all the lockers, with the women's groups, and they're actually a real soccer team in Canada, by the way. They're professional, so that was really fun, and it was hard to run with them, but anyway. I was like, but in the soccer locker room, we all have our cubby holes, and there was one corner that one producer, Ryan, he was just like sitting there, kind of like there, and I just kept looking at him, like, what is he doing kind of close to the shot? Because usually they're out on the other side of the camera. Anyway, so I went over and he was like trying to get me to notice this. Boom.
Boom. Jersey.
Perfect.
It's my jersey, but it's not. Okay, so my character's Chen, obviously. So I didn't wear this in the movie, but this was hanging there. And then he told me that in the movie, somebody has been wearing this as we're playing soccer. Okay. And I had no idea. He was like, you didn't even notice, like, when you guys are running around, there was somebody wearing this. How can you not notice? I was like, dude, I'm trying to score. Right? I'm not looking at the backs of jerseys. But that was fun. He said he wanted a piece of me in the movie forever, which I
love that.
I know, I cried. And I don't know if anybody saw it because I can't find it myself. I watched it a couple of times. If you guys find it, please watch it again. Please let me know. Please let Sarah and Julie know. I would love that.
Challenge accepted.
Yes, find the wizard. So Sheila just asked a question. This was Nadia's first Hallmark, right? What was your takeaway from the experience?
Good question.
Thank you, Sheila. That's a great question. Yes, this is my first Hallmark. And to be honest, I loved it. I really loved my cast and crew. Everybody was very supportive. We were very happy. I mean, it was freezing. Sometimes we were shooting like negative 40 degrees, but it was just, just so heartwarming, and having that, I mean, like, look, we all know Hallmark's about love and family.
Right.
We all know that. And so is Disney and some other, movies. But when you're actually doing the movie, then you really actually experience what that means. So yes, they casted a family with me, right? And of course, as an actor, you're just like, okay, these are my relationships, whatever, all these actor stuff. But then when you're really on set, for me anyway, when I have to, like when I met Rogi, who plays Brandon, and Nikki, who plays Ava, so my siblings, my sibling and my niece, my family members, I felt an instant chemistry with them. Like right away, the dynamic was there. I felt like he was my brother. I felt like, I mentored her right away. Right away, I took her under my wing and I was like very protective over her. I want to make sure everything was okay with her. That was instant.
Yeah.
And as we carried the movie throughout, it became our real dynamic, even offset.
Love that.
And for me, that's just like, yeah. And it's so crazy because then it becomes your real life. Like you kind of absorb that family energy, which is beyond acting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like first there's the acting, but then actually we weren't even acting. We really honestly felt like a family.
Yeah.
And that was one takeaway. I love that the endings are happy.
Yep.
I know that's not realistic for everybody's stories and life, but it's hopeful. I like that. Right. I like that the ending was hopeful and you can have everything. You can have your family, you can have your career, you can have love, and you can have self-love.
Right.
You don't have to give anything up. That's a very hopeful ending for me because, sometimes there's a lot of movies or a lot of, chatter that says you have to choose one or the other, career or love, or career or family. You can't have all.
Right.
This is what Emily feels like in the beginning. And actually, to be honest, I feel like that before. I feel like that. And sometimes I do feel like that. I can't have everything.
Right.
But it's actually not true. It's
Mhm.
really, really not true. From this movie, I learned that, you can build your family and you can have love and you can have a career and thrive in it. You can
Mhm.
make it all work. It's just a balance,
Right.
Right. Right. I
Yeah,
love that you learned that through this experience. I think that's great.
Yes. Oops. You
Yeah.
guys. Yes. I feel like in every part that I play, I always gain something from it. I always grow from the characters that I play. Right. And so everybody knows that Emily had problems dealing with her grief in a healthy way. She dealt with it through anger and attitude and rejection of other people. But I learned from that too, because I don't know about other people out there who are listening. I definitely deal with grief in that way too. I want to be alone. I'm going to focus all my energy on my work. I want to succeed. What else can I do with my time? I don't want to see anybody. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to be weak. I can do this. I don't feel any sadness. Watch me go.
Right.
So that was something else that I learned. I'm like, it's okay to grieve. And after the movie, I felt a lot of things that I hadn't really dealt with. Like I really just allowed it to all come out. So anyway, that went a little.
No, I love that.
I think
deep.
if you're trying to bring something to a character, you have to apply the things in your own life, and so you have to shuffle through all that.
Yes, and it was really hard for me to play that part because I was like, she's really tough. Emily's a tough girl, and for a long time, I'm like, I don't know, Then I realized that's exactly how somebody else plays grief, like how they deal with grief, not plays grief, but goes through grief.
Right.
Some people cry and eat a lot of ice cream,
Right.
and they're just a mess, and some people just like binge eat, or some people just start training real hard and and shutting down, and that's Emily, and that's realistic. And I was like, so this is all grief,
Right.
Right.
Allowed you to connect with that. So how did you get into this movie and get the role of Emily? Did you audition, or was it something they reached out to you about?
So I've been auditioning for Hallmark for many years, and I never truly thought that I would ever have the opportunity to be in their movies, because I always felt like Hallmark had their ideas of what they felt was right, and I never knew if I was right, But for me, auditioning for their movies was delightful because it kept me on my toes in the sense of like finding hope and love constantly, because you always have to have a positive fight. You're fighting for something positive and beautiful and love and this and that. And so you have to find that within yourself, no matter what you're going through. It's like when you're going through dark times, like the COVID pandemic.
Right.
You're just like, I want to play a vampire. I want to play this, like you're just pouring out your like darkest selves, like, blah. But then when you have to play like someone with light, you're just like, how, the world, And so those are the moments, like these are the stories for me that I have to challenge myself to find the light within myself,
I like
so
that.
This was honestly, it was like a birthday gift, like it was a gift that fell on my lap. I couldn't believe it. And it was very near my birthday.
So it was a birthday gift.
It was a birthday gift from like the universe, from
Absolutely.
Hallmark. Yeah, like I was like over the moon, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is the wrong call. This is the wrong call. It's not me.
It's a great birthday gift. So Chris Pala is your co-star. Have you ever worked with him before?
Never. That was my first time. I didn't actually realize that he had so many fans in Hallmark, and I didn't even know anything about him.
But now you know.
Now I do know. His hair became like a big topic.
His hair.
Hair.
I actually, to be honest, I think his hair is beautiful. Like I didn't feel like it was anything wrong with it. I mean, I felt it fit the character,
Right.
and I think it's important for actors to be able to change their hairs in every single character, because then it really reflects their authenticity of what they're trying to portray, But yeah, so I just wanted to say that. I was like, wow, really? I thought it was fun.
The hair got a lot of strong reactions.
It does anytime any of these actors do something different, right? Everybody's first initial reaction is like, whoa, that's not what we're used to, because for so long, I think, this is my perception anyways, I think that the network had everybody always looking so perfect and beautiful. So everybody got used to, their hair perfectly styled or whatnot. And so now that things are kind of changing, I think we're seeing that in the way that the actors are, and that they're doing their hair for the movie.
Yeah,
it's happened a few times.
Yes,
fairly recently. Yeah.
Oh, really? So I mean, that's what it is, right? I didn't realize that his hair was always perfectly styled, but
it always is.
Well, all these, Hallmark hunks are, right? They almost all,
they all got the hair and
There was a big reaction to Tyler Hines' hair a few movies ago as well, because he had a different haircut, and everybody's not used to that.
Wow, what a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting to know. Because I mean, for me, it was very clear that being Emily, I was not going to do fancy hair stuff at all. I had to be real to the character.
Yeah.
I did not know that. But when I met him, he was playing soccer on the field randomly, and I feel like it makes sense that his hair is a little messy, and he's a coach for kids, and he's going through grief, guys. Like grief. He's also grieving because he lost his partner, to the big city, and he doesn't know what he's doing really. And I think that's very realistic, because most people who are going through their own stuff and who's a soccer coach for youth are not going to really style their hair. So I think that was a really yeah. I mean, dare I say, I will probably get a lot of
you're not.
Hello, girl.
They're not. They're going to be out there on practice, and actually, in reality, half the time it's under a baseball cap backwards. Even if you're not playing baseball, for guys, like that's like the styling. It's their version of a headband or a pony, right? Is to put on the baseball cap, right? Which they didn't do there, but right. No, they're not. They're not styling it like they're going out, right? We're going to practice.
Well,
right?
also you're running around, playing a soccer ball, and I just think it made sense, and I think he's equally handsome with his hair that way, or anyway, honestly.
He worked it.
He worked it. He's got his charm. He's got his Polaha charm.
His Polaha charm. So did you have a favorite scene that you shot? Something that, was special to you?
Wow. Not every scene made the movie. And some of my favorite scenes didn't make the movie.
Okay.
About that. But it would just
part of the process.
Understand part of the process. It was a beautiful scene of my niece and I watching the World Cup together, and me teaching that game, and that didn't make it, and that was beautiful. And then my brother watched it, and he just collapsed on the couch, and that didn't make it. But for the scenes that did make it, one of my favorite scenes, I have so many though, honestly, was the one that Polaha and I were just laying there staring at the stars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the picnic table, right?
The picnic table, and just looking up into the stars, because
there was oddly astroturf on top of the picnic table.
A lot of people talked about that. We're in the future, guys. We're in the future. True. From love energy.
But no, it was great because you're looking up at the stars and talking. I love a good sit and talk anyway. So we'll lay and talk.
Yes, me too. And I thought that was really good. And because honestly, that scene when we shot it, it was freezing. Okay. We were by the river. It was raining that day. And I had been shooting, 14 hours already. I was exhausted. I was freezing. The wind was blowing. Water was blowing into my face and stuff. And I was just like shaking underneath. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. We're supposed to fall in love. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, this is a disaster. I'm so cold. But when we got there, the scene just came, and all I saw was him, and all I saw were the stars, and I felt the stars, and we just went into the scene. We just ignored, like, nothing else mattered. There was no rain, there's nothing else. So that's definitely one of my favorite scenes, because for me, that felt like a real moment in life. You know, when you share something with someone and you look at something, it doesn't have to be the stars, it could be the moon, it could be the sea or whatever. And you just have this moment that everything just kind of settles in, and you look at the other person, you guys are talking, and all of a sudden it gets real.
Yeah.
You know, that connection.
Yep.
So I really like that. It's very human.
I also love the way it was shot. So many times in Hallmark movies, those scenes, if they're laying down next to each other, which actually happens kind of a lot, they're often apart and like they have to reach across for a hand grab, which is like a they can shoot that and stuff, but they seem really fake. Like in real life, that's never how you're going to lay there and talk, even if you're good friends, right? And if it's night, you're like kind of cuddled close together because it's cooling off or whatever it is. And you guys were like right next to each other, and so they could pan in close, and it just felt like that's a lot more like how that really happens. If you're going to sit there and look at the stars and chat, you're not going to lay 3 feet away from each other.
Yes, that's right. And also, it's like, are we going to kiss? Right. Could we kiss?
Right.
And then we didn't kiss.
Right.
You know, but
the almost kiss.
Snuggle closer.
Right. Right.
That's, you know.
Yeah.
And snuggled closer, and as opposed to like the whole like awkward like hand reach across. I was like, yes, this is more how people actually relate to each other.
Awkward hand holding. Are we friends or are we more?
You know what I'm talking about. It's that like awkward. You're not 6.
I love you.
I love that, or just like the like cuddling in closer, because even as friends, that's what happens when you're laying around looking at the stars,
or you're like hug.
Yes. Yep no, exactly, that's like how real people hang out together.
Totally.
So no, it felt much more natural. It was like, thank you, whoever made that decision.
Yeah. And I feel like we had a few of those kinds of moments throughout the movie. So it actually felt, and that's something I really noticed, is that there were all these little moments between the two of you. So it made sense at the end of the movie, you know, and it wasn't just like, oh, I love you. Oh, it's been 2 weeks. Like, so it kind of felt like you've learned together and you've grown together and you've had these moments. And it felt realistic.
Oh, I'm so glad you noticed that. That's a really good point. There was a lot of almost kisses, you know, and it was like, no, I'm not ready, you know, and it was like, no, you're not ready. No, we're not ready. No, wait. Tiptoe, kind of game that we both broken people had with each other, so that it made sense that in the end, finally, it's like, oh my gosh, we're going to do this. Let's do this. We found the courage.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
So,
go
ahead, Julie. I don't want to interrupt
you. But when you're doing those moments, do you talk those out? Like, did you talk that out with Chris? Like how you wanted those to look?
No, you mean the kissing scenes?
No, or just like those, like really like.
No, we don't really talk it out. Actually, we rehearse it, but not really. Like, it's more like blocking with the camera and stuff. But very organic, you know, like sort of feeding off of each other. I feel like Chris and I had great chemistry, you know, for this movie. It was great. Like, it was just there, you know, we didn't have to force it. I just stared at him and he was there, and it was just having that connection, you know, as actors and sort of moving through the scenes together. And sometimes, like, when you discover, like, a lot of magic happens, like surprises. Right. That maybe you wouldn't, like, in your mind, you can only think of things in a really small box.
Right.
You know, and so, because your mind it's just small, really. But if you just allow the two people to just sort of like connect, then more things can happen. Right. It's beyond what you can think of. Right. Yeah.
Love that.
I do. So, okay, this was your first Hallmark movie, but you are not new to acting and hosting and all sorts of things. So tell us a little bit about how you got into acting and what you've done in the past.
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, really.
Let's talk about when I was 2. I always played pretend when I was a kid, and that's always been my thing. I'd always take the family, recorder and just sort of make movies and remake movies and commercials and make everybody be in them.
Yeah.
And I'd always be in my pretend world, So that's kind of how it just started organically, because that's how I am. But having it become a career, to be honest, I almost became a professional soccer player.
No way.
Yeah. So for those of you, I mean, I didn't play a striker. I played a goalkeeper. So that's a very different position, and it's different training, right? It's all opposites. But I almost went professional because I was really good at it, and I was competitive, and I went around doing it. So, but I had to choose. If I was going to become a professional soccer player, obviously can't be an actor because they're both full-time jobs.
Right.
And I had
where'd you play soccer?
In Asia. I played it in Asia, all around Southeast Asia. Yeah. I played
it where soccer is real, man. It's football.
Yeah, that's right. It's football. That's right. We called it football. I loved it. It was so fun. I was so obsessed with it. We used to eat like oranges at the end of practice, My coach, I think, saw that and made this movie. He was like, hey, Nadia. I was like, hey, coach. But I didn't go into professional because I wanted to become an actor. So I just never thought in my whole wildest dreams that I'd ever end up playing a soccer player.
It's perfect.
Right? It's just never all the other things, cop, this, sure. But a soccer player is so specific. Right. So kind of fulfilled my dream in that. And then I honestly acting just kept finding me, coming from a very traditional Asian family, my family really wanted me to do something substantial, right? Business, be a doctor, be this, be that, whatever, not the arts,
Right.
So I shut down my imagination and I was like, okay, I got to go do this instead. But in the end, the acting just kept finding me. Some people would just keep coming to say, hey, can you be my play? Can you write this for us? We would like you to, I just kept getting invitations, can you come on to audition for this? For some reason.
Yeah.
So finally I was like, I got to follow the signs, because no one's asking me to play soccer in their team, and then I went full out and decided to dedicate my life to it. So that's that in a nutshell. And in terms of what I've been in, gosh, it's so many things that I don't want to share also. We all have those skeletons in the closet. Never see the light of day.
Just tell us about one of your favorite things. How about that?
Good idea. One of my favorite things, I don't know if you guys seen me play Mei-chan, Capcom, on Netflix.
Okay.
The show's called Away. And starring Hilary Swank. She's in it. The show got canceled for second season, sadly, but it was a beautiful show and it was a beautiful character. I really love playing her. She's really my favorite character. One of my favorite characters anyway, because I got to play somebody, because through her, she, when you see the series, you'll understand. She had to love unconditionally.
Okay.
For the greater good. And that's very difficult as a human being to do. We're all a little selfish, we all want everything our way. And we want the ones that we want next to us all the time, no matter what, right? So to be unconditional and love someone unconditionally, it's just like I had to go to that place and really find that, and really just expand myself to go there, and to just love freely without asking for anything back. And then to embody that. So I grew a lot from that character, and I really loved that character. And I felt she's so beautiful. Just Mei-chan was very beautiful, a very beautiful character that I wish I could be forever. Yeah. She was just all love, all giving. Even though she felt so much pain, she said, no, I choose love instead of my pain, and I'm going to shut this down for the greater good of everyone. So when you see, you'll know what I'm talking about. For
it's
those
a beautiful lesson. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I also saw in the past that you were a VJ for MTV in China. That's amazing.
Thank you.
How'd you get into that?
Oh my gosh, hosting found me. You know, I never really liked having real jobs of going, you know, working for other people because it just doesn't work for me. I get really, you know, I have attention problems. I'll just probably not show up. So I can't help it. I have to do something creative or on my feet or do something crazy. Yeah. It's just how I am. So hosting found me because it was a long thing. Gosh, it's like such a long story, but I had a couple of television shows in Asia, and they found me too. Did voiceovers and everything and stage and all that, and they kept finding me. So I would like develop all these skills as I was doing these TV series. And in my first television show called E for Kids, I had to learn Mandarin and read and write and speak and act in Mandarin in the show, through the show, right? So it's like I always say, I always learn something from the shows. And I think the thing about life is everything you do, no matter how difficult it is, you can learn and grow from it. And I had to read 366 pages of Mandarin, you know, and perform it in a 3-camera studio and be funny and be cool and sing and dance and do all this Hannah Montana-ish show. But that gift led me to my next show, which taught me how to work with the camera crew and like lead them around and direct everybody, which led me and then be really bilingual, to be able to switch back and forth between Chinese and English and speak to the camera and to other people, which led me to MTV.
Yeah.
So I auditioned for that show in China and they loved it. And it's because of all these skill sets, you know. And I'm not a pop culture person, to be really honest with you. I'm kind of an introvert. I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch TV and movies and television series, but no, not real TV. Right. So I had to learn music and who were popular. You know, at that time in China, all the up and coming pop stars and, you know, singers and stuff, and had to listen to their music and memorize it and know what they're talking about. But that was really awesome. It was really fun because that opened a lot of doors for me. And my Chinese got real good. So Chinese and English. So, and my pop culture at that time. Don't ask me now.
Yeah. So how old were you when you had to first learn Mandarin?
I had to learn, well, I grew up having to speak Mandarin because my mom, but it wasn't as good as like I can perform in Mandarin.
Right.
Like
a difference. Yeah.
Difference, right? So I had to embody it or whatever. But my show, E for Kids, was really the first one where I was forced to speak in Mandarin because the executive producer, Richard, he was like, you know, we want to book you for this role. You're going to star in it. Da, da, da. And I was like, okay, but I just want you to know my Chinese isn't very good. It's just like, you know, he's like, oh, don't worry. Everything is in English. And I was like, oh, perfect. I love it. Not true. I got on set and then I said, I got the set and literally 98% of it was in Mandarin.
That's crazy.
Can you imagine?
Well, learning by immersion.
The script was all in Mandarin characters. And I was like, I told you I don't speak Mandarin. Like, what? I wasn't being humble. And he was like, don't worry, just try your best. I was like, I don't know how to read. I was like, I'm illiterate in Chinese.
Right.
And he was like, don't worry, try your best. I was like, I don't know what try your best means.
Right.
So he's like, oh, really? You really don't? And I'm like, I really don't. So because of that, and I was so humiliated on the first day, right? Because I had to like spit out whatever I could. And I was like, I can't go through that again. I forced myself every day to read one word by one word and memorize phonetically what they sounded like. The writer would sit down with me and I'd memorize words. Okay, so we'd shoot 8 episodes a day.
And 8 episodes a day?
Yeah. Like, can you imagine having to do that in like, I don't know, Greek, another language you don't speak? And then having to emote it in a way that's believable and to embody it and to be funny and all that. So I had to do all that. And there was a lot of tears. I'd go home crying in the bathroom and being like, I can't do this. This is so hard. But I learned Mandarin the hard way. So that was my first one.
Wow.
That's great.
It's a great way to learn another language, by the way.
Right.
Sure.
Those are some fun projects. So actually, like, it's just a lot of variety.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that you had to like learn the music and learn the pop culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I learned a lot in my job. I love that so much. You grow a lot,
Right.
But yeah, that's why I love what I do, because you're always growing and you're always learning, and then you're living other people's lives that you probably would never live on your own, right? So that's a great opportunity. You get to be an astronaut, get to be a witch, you get to be a soccer player,
right?
World, it's awesome.
Fun. So we usually play a game. Our favorites game. So it's not a real game.
It's not really a game.
I know, we need to get better at this.
Julie's disappointed.
So we're just going to ask you about like some of your favorite things if you're up for it. So we'll start with, do you have a favorite rom-com?
That's so good. Rom-com. Gosh, I really like Bridesmaids. Is that a rom-com?
Yeah,
I think it counts.
Yeah, it's really fun. There's a couple.
Yes.
Oh man, there's so many. And then there's like Eternal Sunshine on a Spotless Mind. It's not a rom-com. That's more of a drama. Yeah, that's more dramatic. Yeah, but the Bridesmaid's pretty funny. It's hilarious when she falls on that cake. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I love a good rom-com.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have a favorite TV show or something you're binging right now?
Not binging at the moment. I should be. I should probably watch Yellow Jackets. But my favorite TV show. That's a really good question. Oh my God, I'm so unprepared. I really like Succession. That's a really good TV show.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Not yet, but I hear it's great. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, you're gonna love it.
This is how we get all the things we should watch is from people telling us.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, right? That's right. Next is
right. Yep. I totally dove The Offer after like 3 people in a row said The Offer, and I was like, oh, we totally dove that.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
It's The Godfather. It's a series about The Godfather, but it's actually a series. It's about the making of it, but it's a drama.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
It's very good.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
They did not lead us astray.
Awesome.
I still haven't seen that one either.
Okay.
How about your well, wait a second. Let's go back to TV show for a second. Do you have a comfort TV show? Like something
I love all the comedies. The comedies are comforting for me. I really like Entourage as well. Like I could just keep watching on the back, right, to inspire me. And then all the comedies, like gosh, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Oh, good.
Schitt's Creek.
Oh,
that's probably one of my favorite comedies. Hilarious, laugh out loud, throw up in my mouth. Yeah.
Schitt's Creek. At work, we can have entire medical conversations just using Schitt's Creek.
I want to be in that. That's awesome. So funny. They're so funny. Like thinking about them makes me laugh.
Right. Like literally one of the nurses, he shows up one day with a black and white sweater on just to be
They're so ridiculous. I love it.
No, it's spectacular. So.
Yeah, I'm so glad you like it too. Actually, I'm going to go watch that again. Thank you for the reminder.
The Levies are brilliant. Everything about that is brilliant.
Everything. It's brilliant.
The birds.
Yeah, there's a couple people who watched it off of my recommendation, and they were like, I don't think it's funny. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, are we friends?
Right. Are we even friends?
Yeah. How can you not find that funny?
Right. Is my favorite. I'll take her every day, all the time.
She's like, they're all hilarious. They're ridiculously hilarious.
Right. Like, no. Okay, yes. We love that. All right. Do you have a favorite food, healthy and then indulgent?
My healthy favorite food. I eat mostly very healthy. Healthy. I love wild salmon.
Oh.
Okay, you know what I really love is sable fish, miso glazed or maple glazed sable fish. Sable fish is like black cod here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love that.
Fish is very good in Vancouver. And anything sushi, anything with fresh Canadian fish. And unhealthy, I would say, oh gosh, I love chocolate and ketchup chips. God, I'm so Canadian. Oh my goodness. Okay, wow, that's very Canadian. I love ketchup chips. I don't know if you guys ever had that.
Yes.
So
it's very Canadian.
Here,
they make their way to our small table at the hospital. I'm in Minnesota, but we have people that are going across the. Oh yeah, they're going across the border, So
yeah, that's right. Do they bring it?
The ketchup chips show up. The funny thing is, they're made by a local company.
Oh my gosh, really?
Right? And so we don't get ketchup chips here, but they're made here and shipped there.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
Through a whole podcast without talking about Minnesota.
The ketchup chips.
Fargo was filmed in Minnesota.
Yes, it was. Go ahead, Julie. Tell your Fargo story.
What?
Go ahead and tell your Fargo story.
What am I telling about Fargo? What did you say first?
I said that Fargo was filmed in Minnesota.
Oh, for sure. Yes. No. Sorry. Shall I tell the Fargo story? My best friend from college owns the cabin where the chipper scene was.
That's awesome.
They bought it off of eBay, which is even better, and then moved it. It's actually in Wisconsin now.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
No, it's 100. That's a true story.
Oh, I want to go back and look at it again. Because I didn't even pay attention.
They bought the chipper cabin, and now her husband just put a deck on it too. They've had it since after the movie shot, shortly after the movie shot.
Wow, it must be worth millions.
It's not. It's a tiny little bad cabin from northern Minnesota, and then they just moved it over to Wisconsin.
So, do they go in the cabin? Do they live in there?
They don't live there. It's their cabin. This is the Midwest. We go to the cabin.
Well, do they stay in there when they go?
Oh yeah. It's a nice cabin. Well, they built a foundation for it, so it ended up having a basement then. So when they moved it, they set it on the foundation. Wow. So it's got a basement and an upstairs, and it's like a rambler. It's a little cabin. It's cute. You would never recognize it anymore. It's got new siding and a deck now. Literally, they bought it off of eBay.
I need to watch it. I need to watch Fargo. Okay. Moving on. What about a musical? Do you have a favorite musical?
Ooh, I love musicals. Rent.
Oh,
yeah, definitely. Because I love all of them, really, honestly. Right. But Rent is one that I watch like so many times in New York. It's so good. I love the soundtrack as well, and I love the story it tells. Yeah, it's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So amazing. Yep.
So amazing.
I love Rent. Yep. And then do you have a favorite band or singer?
Oh, wow.
Can be somebody we know or somebody we don't know because they might be in China.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. But I do really like Ed Sheeran. He's really awesome. He's become my favorite the last few years. Yeah, I think him. I think we'll just stick with him. Also Adele. I really like Adele as well.
Yeah.
How can you not? Yeah. And you're a singer, right? Because you've
I'm not sure.
Thing, right?
I like singing. I love singing. I wouldn't call myself a singer. I've sang for television and all that. But I wouldn't stand on, Madison Square Garden and
fill out the garden. You and Billy Joel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll just be like hum
in residence at the garden. No, but also when I did a dive, I saw you went to Tisch School of the Arts. Right. You don't get in there if you can't sing.
So they have different schools.
Yeah, they do have that track.
Schools. But yes, we had to sing. We had to do voice and movement.
Yeah.
I had to learn a bunch of things. But yes,
you have to be able to do everything well.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
No.
Yeah, you have to go through that auditioning process. It's a crazy process. It's a crazy process for those regional auditions, and
Oh, I didn't know about the regional.
Oh, yeah. If you're coming out of the Midwest, you got to go through the regional auditions. So, usually what they do is all the big art schools will come to like Chicago or Minneapolis, and you can go and do all your art. You just like sign up for everybody, and you can hit all the big theater art schools.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I did not know that. When I auditioned, I was I did not memorize my monologue, to be really frank with you, because I was I was doing 2 different theater shows. I was like every day maxed out in my rehearsal process, like up to here. I was shooting like a bunch of indie films, and I got invited, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like the woman, the director, she saw my play, she saw my rehearsal, and she was like, Nadia, like you need to be in Tisch. Like this is you want to invite you here. And and I was like,
if they invited you, you didn't need to know your monologue.
So I was like, please come in and do the audition. 2 monologues. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot. And I was like, I went in, I did one, and there's a contrasting one. And I was like, I'm really sorry. I had no time to memorize this one because I was doing a play, but I can do some of it. And then after I left, I was like, oh, I bombed that. That's lame. Lame-o. And I was like, whatever, I got to focus on my plays because that's the real shit. And oops, I shouldn't have said that.
No, you're fine. We do it too.
Okay, good. And then I couldn't believe I got invited into it. And I think it was because I was doing a lot of theater already.
Yes, right. No, your experience was already your audition. So
yeah, I didn't know that. So I didn't know there was a whole regional thing. That sounds like a lot. I don't think I would have made that.
You can even in the region stuff around here, you can even audition for the European schools also.
Really?
So it's kind of the London and particularly the Great Britain ones. So
yeah. Oh, that's incredible. I had no idea.
Wow. Yeah, because you just got asked to go and then you were in.
To be honest, I was like, if I get in, I'll be an actor. If I don't get in, I shouldn't be an actor. It's just very simple for me because I'm like, if I'm not good enough to get in, then there's no way because it's a really hard career. And I was like, so if I don't get in, it's a sign from the universe that I can do this as a hobby, do some plays on the side and work on business or do something else. And when I got in, I was like, whoa, that's a sign. So that's how I decided to be an actor, really, was because even though I was doing all these things, when that happened, that was my sign to continue this path,
Yeah.
But I ask for signs from the universe all the time. I don't know if anybody else does that.
I think that's it. I think that's what you have to do. This I don't know. I lost my train of thought, but yes, I learned that you have to put it out there because if you don't put it out there,
yes.
I'm too concrete for that. That's not happening.
Wait, what?
I'm like, I'm too concrete for that. I do not look for the signs. You like get your stuff together, pull up your big girl pants.
Well, I mean, you have to do both. I mean, you can't just like lay there and be like, show me the way.
Yeah,
now it's gonna happen.
You still can kind of.
Yeah.
And then you don't just sit and wait. You still work your butt off, right?
Yeah. You still have to pull on your pants.
Yeah. Right. And it's a lot of work. I mean, those hours are crazy. Well, plays, those are crazy hours too.
It's crazy. It's a hard industry.
Yeah.
And no joke. I mean, I always say to people who want to be an actor, like when they ask me, I'm always like, how bad do you want it? Like, do you really want to do this? Like, do you really love it? Do you think it's going to be all glam and glory? Because it's not. Like all the hard work, you don't get to see the hard work that we're doing behind, like all the rejections that we get from auditions, all the heart we put into every audition, every role, and and the grueling hours, and no carb diets that we put ourselves through, and all these things, and the tears, and like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to work tomorrow, all this pain, right? So I always say all the people who want to be an actor, like, how bad do you want it?
Right.
Because you got to work real hard every day. Like, I have a lot to learn. I've got more to learn. It's not enough. I think that I could have done better. And, and every job is a learning curve. It's like the next one, it's like, I'm going to do better. In between, I'm going to take classes. I'm going to be better. What else can I do?
Right. If the working piece of it doesn't fill you up, it can't just be the end thing that fills you up. It has to be the whole process.
Oh yeah, totally. Because there is no end. This is not an end. It's not like one day you get promoted to this role and that's it. You're done. No, because there's still more. And there's just so much. Like acting is like you're always growing. It's like a human being. You're always evolving. Right. And so where I'm at right now is where my art's going to be at right now. And that's where my consciousness is, and that's where my awareness level is. But in 2 months from now, I'm going to be in a different place. And my work is going to be different, Right. If I was to do Emily now, even months later, it would be different.
Right.
So it's just, it's ever changing. You have to love that process.
I love that. I love hearing that. So, that you're always applying those things. Do you have anything coming up that we can look for?
I will definitely let you know. I usually don't announce, I don't announce anything until it's actually real. Because I'm superstitious. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I always feel like if I announce something, something's going to block it.
It's so going to happen. And I will just say, we've done this long enough to know that things change in this industry. It's like, yep. That's not happening.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I keep my mom now is like, she never asked me. She used to ask me, and as soon as I would be like, okay, this is and then I'd lose it. And then my mom's like, okay, you know what? You don't need to tell me no more. So I'm like, I'm not going to tell you, even when I have signed, even when I'm going to get ready on set, even when I'm doing the fitting, I'm not going to tell you nothing until I am done. Okay, done. And we've got a date that's going to be released, because once the release date is out, then
it's coming.
Yeah.
And we're always amazed at how sometimes, you don't get that until right before it's going to release.
Yes, that's right. I was not ready for the release. I was like, whoa, oh my gosh. Okay, it's real now.
Right.
No, I was like, Mom, by the way, it's real now.
And even how they cast these movies kind of cracks me up. I mean, we were talking with Terry Ingram, and he was like, I'm working on a movie now, but I don't even know who my leads are yet. We start filming in 2 weeks. And I'm like,
that happens a lot. That happens a lot. You have no idea. And it's changing. The stories are changing on set. It's always evolving. It's like, okay, you know what? Now that we have the actors and everybody together, this doesn't work. Let's do this. We're going to change a character. We're going to minus this. We're going to plus that. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy.
Yeah. We love learning about all that. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Everyone finds that stuff interesting. What's really happening? It's all very liquid. It's less concrete than I expected it to be.
Yeah, it's not like you memorize your lines, you get on, and that's exactly the lines we're going to stick to that, because you've got the other actor who's probably going to have their own improv. And I mean, it depends on the show. Some shows are like, no, we got to stick to the word by word. But a lot of times you change when you're there. Like when I was on for Emily, there were so many changes. I'd be like, I don't even know why I even bother memorizing.
Right.
I couldn't memorize, to be honest, every night, because, we were going through so many pages of dialogue and it was changing. It was a lot. So I would be like, okay, we're just going to show up, and I know what I'm going to do in the scene, and I know this and that. And sure enough, somebody else will bring something else, and it shifts and it changes. And you're just like, okay, cool.
Okay. I'll look at this now.
Yeah. And then you're like, you've got like a little time to go, and you're like, So, which is really great. It's really great to exercise your brain that way.
Yeah.
So you kind of make sure that you have good memorization skills. Your brain is always juicy. I think being an actor is very healthy for your brain.
Right. Because you're always working different parts of it, right?
Yes.
And always learning something new, right?
Yeah. You have to learn, you have to be real quick, So when you get older, it's there. It's juicy still, which is really important. It's like
the more you use your brain, the better it works.
Absolutely. So Nadia, tell everybody where they can find you on social media so that they can follow if they're not already.
Okay, thank you. So basically all of my social media is Nadia Hatta. Instagram is Nadia Hatta, and I've got the blue tick, so you'll know that's my real me. Twitter is the same, Nadia Hatta. Weibo is Nadia Hatta. I kept it real simple. Facebook
Nice
is also Nadia Hatta. And I'm so lucky because my name is pretty unique.
Right. That's perfect, though.
Yeah, it's perfect. So nobody's going to snatch that from me. Or will they?
It's awesome. So if you haven't already, don't forget to watch A Winning Team.
Yes, please watch it. It's on the W Network in Canada, and it's also on obviously the Hallmark channel, and I think it's streaming on Prime Amazon.
Oh, good.
And it's on
there, yeah.
And it's on Peacock because all of Hallmark stuff goes to Peacock, right?
Really?
Doesn't it?
No.
I thought all Hallmark stuff is going to Peacock right now.
Something came out about that, but I don't know if it started yet or is.
I think it hasn't,
but I think it has. But anyway, it's out there. You can watch it on Friendly too. Friendly TV.
Oh, good.
Lots of places.
So there are no excuses to miss this movie.
No excuses.
Right.
Tune in.
So find a winning team.
Yes.
You can do it, right?
Yay.
You got it.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much for being here. We loved meeting you. We'll say goodbye to everybody, and then we'll say bye to you.
Hang on for a minute though with us afterwards.
Okay,
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye, Sheila. Bye, dear Hallmark.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.